Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Israel. Shabbat shalom. Hope everybody is in good health, good spirits. You know, man, I want to bring a topic to your mind with everything going on in the world. I want to make sure Yashriel is focused on what really matters. Title of this video of this Shabbat teaching is, does your view of success hinder or help your walk? You know, man, when I first started on this journey of walking in truth, walking in righteousness, learning how to walk in righteousness, learning how to walk upright according to the will of the Most High Yah, this is one of the first things that I had to sort out. What is my view of success? How do I view success? And I tell you, one of the things that was making the walk initially hard, even though what I'm reading in the book was not hard, my view of success is what was causing me to be hesitant against being a doer of the word. You know, man, when I'm sitting at the judgment seat of a Mashiach and this thing is all said and done, and I'm giving an account for the things that I've said, whether it be good or evil, the works, good or evil, no amount of money, no car, no house, no particular thing of this world that I have been working for is going to be good enough for the Most High to say, or Messiah to say, you know what, man, you made a lot of money in your lifetime. I'm going to let you slide on in. You know, you had one of the nicest houses. Man, I'm going to let you slide on in. Man, you had one of the flyest cars. I'm going to let you slide on in. You know, man, you entertained a lot of women sexually. I'm going to let you slide on in. You know, man, you reached one of the highest levels of power in politics. I'm going to let you slide on in. Man, on a daily basis, no matter what's going on in this world, the question of how you view success is going to be a game changer. Man, there was times in my life early on where I'm like, man, money is the goal. There's times in my life where I'm like, power is the goal. Status is the goal. You know, oftentimes you find that some of the most wealthiest people are really dealing with a lot of bondage and a lot of problems because, man, they have attempted to go for something and set their life's focus on something, but they don't have spiritual freedom. And in Babylon, in the last days, in Western culture, you know, in a culture that is driven by heathens, driven by covetousness towards what the Egyptians represented, it's going to fail us. You know, now I view success as living righteous and having, obtaining, and maintaining my salvation. You know, there's people out there that say, can you lose your salvation? It's a very common or very catchy theme amongst Christianity. Can you lose your salvation? Once you have it, can you lose it? And you have some people that think they have obtained salvation, never had it to lose in the first place, and they're setting a lot of people up for failure. And then you see, when you look at the azimuth of their life, the direction of their life, the trajectory of where their life is going, year after year, month after month, man, they're headed towards darkness. Does your view of success hinder or help your walk? When we look at, I want you to listen to the definition of success. And when we go, somebody were to pick up a dictionary and says, man, what does success mean? This is why what the world gives us is not going to profit us in the end, because it's stripped of righteousness. When we look at success in the dictionary, success is the favorable or desired outcome of an attempt. Very vague, right? Traditionally, it is associated with wealth, status, and prestige. Okay, when you look at 1 out of 1,000, when the preacher was looking amongst the people, 1 out of 1,000 have the right view of what success is in the eyes of the Most High Yah. There was only one found righteous. But for 999 out of that 1,000 that weren't found righteous, they had the wrong view of success. Their view of success, which will cause you to violate Torah in order to accomplish, is associated with wealth, status, and prestige. This says, however, it is inherently subjective, an inherently subjective concept defined intrinsically by personal values, goals, and a sense of fulfillment rather than rigid external metrics. Man, the Most High Yah gives us the standard of what success is. When we look at Matthew chapter 6, verse 21, man, it says, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Man, you have some people that say they believe, and I don't doubt that they don't believe, but what they believe in is going to determine how strong or how they're not walking in righteousness. So if your treasure is money, there's things in the Torah that we're not supposed to do in Yashriel that you're going to have no problem feeling justified in violating the Torah because your treasure is money. Maybe your heart is set on power. Maybe your, treasure is set on a certain particular thing of this world. And that causes us to disregard the instructions of the Most High. Causes us to disregard it. Man, when we look at Philippians chapter 2, verse 12, let me get there. It reads, wherefore, my beloved, as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So when we break the first part of that down, we always haven't been obedient. And you're not going to be obedient according to righteousness if your view of success is not in alignment with the will of the Most High Yah. Man, when the word says, let this mind be in you, which is in Hamashiach, you got to understand, Hamashiach wasn't on this earth, trying to have the best six-pack, trying to be the most sexually enticing man, trying to have the most jewelry, trying to have the flyest cars, trying to have, the biggest mansions. But you got to look at the stuff that we get caught up on, we get focused on. So by nature, this flesh is not obedient. But when you look at working out your salvation with fear and trembling, Man, when somebody's view of success is not in alignment with the will of the Most High Yah, you're not going to see a fear of the Most High. You're not going to see a trembling. You're not going to see a caution towards the things that the Most High Yah has told us to do. Like, people that treasure is in this world, like I said, typically don't fear the Most High Yah, nor do they care about the judgments of the Most High Yah, which all are just, whether they're blessings or whether they're consequences. When we go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 8, or Deuteronomy 6, starting at verse 4, it says, "Hear, O Yasharel," this is who he's speaking to. "Hear, O Yasharel, Yahweh Elohanu, Yahweh is one. And you shall love Yahweh Elohake with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might." Man, just pausing right there. This is telling us what our effort should be focused on. When we look at the world's definition of success, the favorable or desired outcome of an attempt, 999 people out of 1,000, what they're attempting to do in this lifetime in the flesh has nothing to do with righteousness. Has nothing to do with it. He's telling us, okay, we're supposed to love Yahweh Elohake with all our heart. He didn't say, come to me with 95% of your heart. He didn't say, come to me with the leftovers of your heart after you done gave some love to your wife, you done gave some love to your children, you done gave some love to your mama, gave some love to your brother. Oftentimes, when our view of success is not in alignment with the will of the Most High Yah, we give him what is left over. We give him what we want him to have. We didn't kind of distributed our heart and our love amongst things that we have no business distributing them, because the Most High, he's telling us to love him with all our heart. That's not a piece of it. That's not a fraction of it. That's all of it. That in itself right there, if you're shortchanging the Most High Yah with the desired love that he's requesting and commanding, that can hinder your walk with all your soul, with all your vessel, living, breathing thing, and with all your might. Okay, man, you have to think, man, a man will spend, a man in his youth, lifting for ego, will spend an amazing or an abundant amount of might trying to lift weight. But no matter how much weight you lift in your youth, no matter how many people are cheering you on, oh man, you the strongest man alive, man, you still can't lift the judgment off of you for living a life in rebellion to the Most High Yah. It's not going to profit you at the end. You have to think, man, people that worship money, people that worship other deities and things like that, they put a lot of energy on a daily basis doing things that ain't gonna profit you in the end. And you wonder why we are jacked up spiritually. You wonder why some of the stuff in the world that's going on is so out there. And no matter what's going on in the world, man, I want to give you something today that's gonna set you apart. Like, okay, at the end of the day, there's gonna be 1,000,001 people that claim to be Christians. But you know what? Man, they haven't loved Yahweh Elohake with all their heart. They haven't loved him with all their soul and with all their might. And when you look at their body of works hasn't been faithfulness, hasn't been obedience, hasn't been righteousness, hasn't been lawful. You can't be crowned unless you have strived lawfully. And this is the problem that a lot of people are going to run into. Let's keep going. It says, Deuteronomy 6:6, and these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. So parents out here, there should be the establishment of righteousness on a daily basis, not only setting the example, living the example, but teaching our children what they should view success is. Because here's the reality. Man, you ask a child what they want to be when they grow up, they're going to say all kind of stuff. And all the stuff that they say is based upon what the world has given them. I want to be a superhero. Man, I want to be in the NBA. Man, I want to be in the NFL. I want to be the next Venus and Serena Williams. I want to be the next Tiger Woods. I want to be, you got some children, they be like, I want to be a drug dealer. I want to be a pimp. I want to be this, I want to have a lot. I want to do this. But here's the reality of that. How many children, 5, 6, 7 years old, when asked what they want to be, how many of them say, man, I want to be like Messiah? Think about that. Think about what you wanted to be when you were younger. Why was your attention, your energy focused on trying to be that? Because that's what you believed was success. Part of which is, no matter what religion or denomination you grew up in, part of the reason you view success the way you view it today has a lot to do with your parents, your elders, not teaching you the ways of righteousness. It says, and you shall teach them diligently, like that. We talking about continually unto your children. What were you taught? You were taught to keep the ways of religion, not righteousness. You was taught to keep the ways of a religion that primary focus was money, was business. And that's where your treasure is. It says, and you shall talk of them when you sit in your house. So no matter what's going on in the world, man, the Most High Yah never intended for the outside noise to interfere with the conversations of righteousness that's supposed to take part in the home. It says, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, that's the entirety of your day right there. Verse 8, and you shall bind them up. You shall bind them up, the ordinances, the statutes, the commandments in your hand, and they shall be as the frontlets between your eyes. So on a daily basis, I want you to pay attention. I want you to pay attention. People want you to believe that they're set apart. People want you to believe that they love the Most High. People want you to believe that, they live according to righteousness, or they're striving for it. But pay attention to the conversation. And when their conversation shows you what's at the frontlet of their eyes, and it's not righteousness, and it's not this, and it's not a version of success in alignment with the will of the Most High Yah, let that be a reminder. Let that be a trigger for you to say, you know what? I recognize it. I see it. Just because everybody else around me is conversing about this, talking about this when they wake up, when they go to bed, talking about this in their house, I don't have to do that same thing. Let righteousness be on your tongue. Let the version of success, according to, teaching the Torah, walking in the Torah, being virtuous, man, let that be the discussions in your house. Contrary to the outside noise, tune it out. Because every time you turn your TV on, every time you jump in your car and the radio comes on, man, I can guarantee you 99% of the time, it's not going to be of this. It's not going to be of anything that's going to help you in the end. Romans chapter 2, verse, let's see, let me go to Romans. Romans chapter 2, verses, we'll do 13. It says, for not the hearers of the Torah are justified before Elohim. Man, we live in a day, time, and hour where people are a part of these religions. People are doing things that the Most High Yah hasn't commanded, but they feel justified in their religion. And you know what they don't want to hear? You know what they don't want to hear? They don't want to hear the Torah. This thing says, but the doers of the Torah shall be justified. So guess what? If your version of success, according to your flesh, has no intent, no intention or desire to hear, learn, and to walk in Torah, guess what you're not going to be at the judgment seat of a Mashiach? When this thing is all said and done, you're not going to be justified. You're not going to be justified. Man, I don't give a dang how good somebody says their heart is. I don't give a dang how kind somebody says they are, how loving somebody says they are. Like, how can you want me to view you as a loving individual, but yet you love everything else with your whole heart except the Most High Yah's and his ways? Man, see, this world will fool you. You will have wealthy people. They will try to give charity. They will try to give out backpacks, give out turkeys, do all of this stuff. But you know one thing that they won't do? Obey Torah. They don't even want to hear it. They don't even want to hear it. Man, I'll leave you with this. When you woke up today is the Shabbat, the seventh day. The Most High Yah set this day apart. Does that play in to the success that you're striving for? Or are you hesitant towards walking in the ways of the Most High Yah on a daily basis because your version of success is out in the world? Because if that's the case, I want you to understand what a waste your life will be. What a waste your life will be. 99% of people are going to be focused on how they can get further in the world instead of how they can get further on this walk. Man, the book tells us to strive for perfection. Man, we live in a daytime and hour where you've got men and women of the internet. And if you look at how much the average American's watch time is on YouTube, social media, and X, Y, and Z, man, you got people out there really promoting success as living lawless. Really out there telling you to live in sin, to live in sexual immorality, to live in covenants, to live in fornication, to live like People are becoming more and more comfortable with encouraging people to live as adulterers. You got more and more people out there telling people that there's another way. And it all comes down to, does your view of success hinder or help your walk? When you see this or recognize this in somebody, man, ask them. Set the question up. Man, what is success to you? And the first thing out of their mouth is going to tell you where their heart is, what's at the frontlet of their mind. They say anything other than something that's alignment with the will of the Most High Yah, don't expect too much from them. Don't expect too much from them. You can expect them to betray you. You can expect them to be a Judas. You can expect them, not to be a truthful witness, but you can expect them to be a false witness. That's where Hasatan wants Yashriel. He wants us to be sucked in to the success of the world instead of success according to the will of the Most High Yah. And a lot of Yashriel is not going to be justified at judgment because we're not in alignment with the will of the Most High Yah. We're caught up on everything else. Caught up on all of this stuff. Like a lot of Yashriel, when you look at Yashriel and some of the stuff that we do, we want to bump elbows with the heathens and we call that success. We want to move into the heathen neighborhoods where we think that that's our version of success. We want to be in these positions where the heathens are, and we view that as success. We want to wine and dine and drink with the heathens, and we view that as success. We made it. Oftentimes, we view success as living according to the way the Egyptians did, and he told us not to follow their ways and their statutes. And this is how we end up very vain, feeling like because I've got this kind of hair and this kind of clothes, man, I'm successful. None of which is going to profit you in the end if you haven't done what the Most High Yah has asked of you. Man, today's Shabbat message, and I encourage you to check it out, pay attention. Maybe this is your first time hearing speaking or teachings like this, but this is a routine thing on this walk, on this channel. If you notice, I haven't been posting on this channel a lot of stuff that is going on in the world, in the news and whatnot, because honestly, my focus, I can't wake up and fight for all of these causes when the Most High Yah told me to fight, to work out, to let my attempt be to work out my salvation with fear and trembling. So thinking about that, I don't have too much time for anything that's not going to help me do that. Man, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, drop me a comment down below. Let me know what your version of success used to be. Let me know what your version of success is now. Man, let's start the dialogue in the comments. The title of today's Shabbat message at here in about an hour and 40 minutes is Coming Out From Among Them. Breaking that down, it's about an hour and a half, 2-hour teaching. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it edifies you, and I hope it stimulates and triggers righteousness or strengthens your walk. Once again, this is Closer to Yah Ministries, kicking that thing gun barrel straight.